Here's your news roundup of all the breaking stories that dropped today as Barcelona have made the biggest impact for the 26-27 transfer window. Anthony Gordon is set to go to Barcelona. I'm here to give you guys the latest news. Hit that subscribe button, share your thoughts and opinions, and let's discuss tonight's massive reports. We start things off by talking about the story of this evening as Barcelona have made an impact in the transfer window by surprising everyone and securing Anthony Gordon. This news is ridiculous, but we got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano. There is a fee of around 70 million fixed, with add-ons taking the final package to 80 million euros for the Newcastle United winger. Anthony Gordon now is currently travelling to Barcelona to complete his medical test and sign his contract from tomorrow. So this is massive news for Gordon. On a positive note, this is big news for English football. This is an English talent now going abroad, playing for one of the biggest clubs in world football for a ridiculous amount of money. It's not happening all the time. And Anthony Gordon, man, who would have thought this be the rise that he was making in his career? Now, this guy has always been a massive talent since he broke through at Everton. And at the time, he actually kind of made a late breakthrough because his body hadn't grown accustomed to the vigors needed at the professional level. He was still kind of growing into it. And he didn't really make his first impact until he was like 20, 21 years old. And since then, man, he has not looked back. Last season for Newcastle United, in all competitions, he got 6 goals in the Premier League with 2 assists. But in the Champions League, he smashed it out the park with 10 goals and 2 assists in 12 appearances. He looked very threatening against Barcelona. And he's shown that he's probably ready now for the right level. He had some of Europe's biggest clubs chasing him. Last summer, it was Liverpool. This summer, Bayern Munich, we all thought would be the favourites to tie this deal down, wrap him up, and he'd be playing alongside Harry Kane right now. So this is a massive, massive story that's really surprised us. This definitely confirms that Rashford won't be staying at Barcelona anymore. In my opinion, did he necessarily do enough? Now, he had some incredible moments, but I've always felt like Anthony Gordon Marcus Rashford is more of like a moments type of player. And I think at Barca, they needed a bit more. And here's where I'm going to kind of explain to you guys why I feel like Barcelona decided to go for Anthony Gordon. Now, one of the things that Barcelona's Deco, their sporting director, absolutely loves is Premier League talent. For himself, he feels like the intensity of the league is an amazing thing to kind of add to the Barcelona squad because intensity, running is a requirement in Flick's system. Barca have lots of inexperience, lots of youth, even though they've won the title yet again. But to kind of balance out the youthfulness, there's a belief that physicality, intensity, that is a nice thing to have alongside that talent. And this is why Deco loves Premier League players, because they're ready-made physical specimens. And in Anthony Gordon, this is one of the most hard-working wingers in the game right now, especially in the Premier League. Now, Newcastle United fans will have their own different opinion on Anthony Gordon, with many Newcastle fans being okay with his sell because it guarantees big money. Yes, he had a lot of moments, but many Newcastle fans felt like, was he necessarily the talisman on a weekly basis, week in, week out, to really just take Newcastle to where they had to go? Now, I understand that, but then normally fans aren't always the fairest judges of players, which sounds a bit mad because you're always kind of fighting against the expectation of a fan, right? Newcastle United fans had ambitions after the window they had at the time to continue playing Champions League football. That didn't materialize. It was an awful end to the season for them. Awful season in general. Awful transfer window as well too, which puts even more pressure now on the players they already have to kind of elevate what can't really be elevated. Newcastle plateaued because they didn't replace the players they let go properly. They didn't sign the adequate replacement for Isak. And they signed players that didn't really fit the tactical molds or weren't good enough really to fill the boots needed. So there was a lot of pressure on Anthony Gordon from Newcastle United fans, in my opinion, and it was a bit over realistic at times because you can't just single-handedly do everything by yourself. But listen, throughout most of the season, yeah, he communicated that he was ready for the next level. He smashed out the park in the Champions League. 10 goals scored there. Yeah, there was a lot of goals against easy opposition for sure. But in those moments, Anthony's shown that this is a guy that is definitely going to complement that transitional threat of Barcelona. His pace, his understanding of movement in behind, the work rate. Rafinha has been so key for Barcelona with his incredible work rate down that left-hand side. And in my opinion, that wasn't something that was easily sustainable by Marcus Rashford. Rashford is more in that Mbappe role where it's kind of like, they're not lazy on purpose, but they're trying to keep their careers long. They want to ensure that their pace, which is a massive part of their game, isn't going to be ruined because of injuries and hamstrings and knocks that normally happens when you're exerting yourself even more to press, right? But with Gordon, this is a guy that has the pace, has the work rate, will complement what Flick needs. And anytime they have to rotate from Rafinha on the left-hand side, I don't even want to say Yamal, but the point I'm making is when rotation will naturally happen, so Rafinha isn't going to be run into the ground. There is a like-for-like replacement that's going to maintain the intensity the team needs. I think Barca are thinking about the bigger picture. They're thinking about, you know what? We want to make sure we win the Champions League. We keep paying the price because when we're up against, top teams that can not even outrun us, but out-intensity us, we collapse. And I think one of the biggest defeats they suffered last season, even though they went down to 10 men, was at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea FC. So I think this is an interesting move from Barcelona's part. We're going to learn a lot about Gordon's ability to kind of rise to the pressure. The expectations are different when you're at Newcastle United and when you're at Barcelona, right? Yeah, the media, the attention, the fan frenzy already. You're seeing tweets exploding, the conversations exploding around Anthony Gordon, a player that no one would ever think in a million years would kind of just garner this level of attention. But this is a well-rounded player. He's showcased the ability to kind of be a match winner so far this season for Newcastle. He has ridiculous pace over short distances and the long distances. He's an intelligent player, good close control dribbling. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does at Barcelona. So you guys share your thoughts and opinions on the story right now, boys, because right now we're going to move on to another big story that you guys have to be paying attention to. And we're learning quite a lot around Julian Alvarez. At the moment, Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain, they are locked in right now to try and engineer a deal. Now, it's fitting that this weekend's Champions League finalists now are also battling it out one of Europe's best strikers in Julian Alvarez. As we're seeing right here, PSG are willing to meet Atletico Madrid's asking price for Alvarez, which is set at around 129.5 million, which is crazy amounts of money. From PSG's perspective, they believe that Goncalo Ramos isn't necessarily the best fit. He's not had much presence with them this season. His play style's completely different. And it's crazy looking back at the original plan they had when they did that double purchase of Ramos and Muani, and both of them are the complete wrong options that aren't making sense there anymore and not even at Paris Saint-Germain anymore. From Alvarez's perspective, I feel like he might be open to assessing his options. As we know, the main club he wants to sign for is Barcelona. And I'm curious to know how he's going to be feeling when he sees Barca spending big money on Anthony Gordon, when he's seen Deco's been having that presence in London, having conversations around Joao Pedro to the point where Joao Pedro wants the Barcelona move. And Barcelona feel like, well, he could be a more affordable, attainable option compared to Julian Alvarez because of the money that Atleti are asking for. If that doesn't happen, Julian has a ton of options around in Paris Saint-Germain and Arsenal, big clubs vying it out to try and sign him. And I think from Alvarez's game, he would really complement playing at PSG. Enrique's shown that he's very comfortable rotating that front line. Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Doué, Barcola. I think they could probably afford to introduce Alvarez into that front line. And it kind of takes away a little bit of pressure from other players anytime someone's not available or gets an injury, because Alvarez is the type of forward that can roam all across that front line, the right-hand side, the left-hand side, etc., etc. So I think this will be a really interesting summer window because it really feels like there's going to be some superstars and some massive transfers happening in this window. And when it comes to that type of money, man, PSG have it in abundance, yeah? They've got that money in abundance. They're one of the only clubs that could kind of meet that fee and make things happen. But here's where Arsenal are also vying it out right now. Interestingly, we got some news today that Arsenal now, they're actually looking towards letting go of Gabriel Jesus. And they need to do that to ensure they can raise the funds and sell the players they don't need to reinvest into positions that they do need. Now, Gabriel Jesus, great, hard-working forward. He's been very unfortunate, in my opinion, with all the injuries. Without these injuries he's suffered over the last 5 years, I think this guy's levels could have been even higher. But Arsenal, League champions, the ambitions are higher now. And a lot of times to maintain your dominance and your position at the top, you have to make these tough calls. You have to call who has to be kicked out, and you have to bring in players who are going to upgrade the team, upgrade the mentality, upgrade the competition, and of course just upgrade the stature of a football club. And I think Alvarez could be very interesting for Arsenal if something materializes. Going to the Independent's report though, Alvarez could be costing around 125 million. Let's see if Arsenal are going to cough that money up. But I'd imagine that whoever wins the Champions League, they're going to have a big say in deciding potentially where Alvarez is set to play, because that money is going to increase. In the meantime, Arsenal are also looking at other options as well too as backup, and those options include players like Krupi of Bournemouth and of course Morgan Rogers, who reports have been suggesting is very excited at the possibility of potentially playing for Arsenal, and would probably pick them outside of any club showing interest his way at this point in time. Krupi's had an excellent season, bagging over 13 goals in the Premier League in his debut season at 19 years old, but is he ready for that step up just yet? Because Arsenal now are planning to make that 2 titles back-to-back. It's been 22 years without success. They're not looking to lose it anytime soon. So let's watch this space. Let's see what happens, man. But it does feel like Julian Alvarez is going to be making a massive transfer to one of the super clubs in this summer window. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think he could be ending up, because right now we have some more big stories to discuss. And this time, Manchester United have finally reached an agreement to sign Atalanta's midfield player in Ederson. Ederson had a very good season for Atalanta. He got 2 goals, 1 assist in the league, and he got 1 goal in the Champions League. But his game isn't typified by goals alone. It's about him acting as the engine. This is an all-phase type of player. And United are making, in my opinion, a pretty interesting and intelligent move right now. Now, everyone thought at the time that Ederson would be destined for Atletico Madrid because they put in the most interest, but now they've turned their attention to Gomez from the relegated Wolves, which meant there was an opening now for Ederson, and United do not waste any time for the player that won't actually be going to the World Cup with Brazil, which did surprise me a little bit. Going to the article here, a £37 million deal has been agreed upon. That's around 35 million to 3 million in add-ons included in this deal as well. And he becomes the first signing under Michael Carrick's Man United team, and he'll be the replacement for Casemiro, who is destined to leave now come the end of the season. United have kind of had some interesting struggles in midfields, in my opinion, but things are starting to make a little bit more sense now that Carrick knows how to use the midfield, now that guys like Mainu now is emerging as a more prominent player in that team. Right now, with Champions League returning as well, they need to have a squad that's ready and competitive, and I think this is a player that you sign for the squad. It's down to Ederson to see if he becomes that first-team undisputed star. But at clubs like Manchester United, you need to have a strong squad full of players competing to fight it out for the number 1 position. And I think United have probably made a really interesting, intelligent signing. I know many United fans are like, where's the superstar? Where's Anderson? Where's Tonali? Where's the big needle movers? Listen, the window's only just started. That might come. But I think Ederson isn't getting enough dues, in my personal opinion, because, as I said earlier, this is an all-phase type of player who can play kick-starting play in the second phase, and can also kind of contribute in the final third. Not necessarily with goals, but in terms of just acting as the supplement player for attacks. So let's have a deeper look at his game to see what United should be getting this season. Now, I think Ederson, for me, is one of those smart players that coaches absolutely love to have in their team. This is someone that looks to play the ball quickly. He's not wasting any time whatsoever. Yeah, he wants to win the ball back, and he wants to release it first time. He's very comfortable releasing the ball first time at all times to find runners, to release players in front of him. And for a team like United, who are kind of developing one of the most potent transitional counter-attacking teams in the country, you want players that are not only going to find your attack quickly, but most importantly, they need players that can destroy the spaces behind. A lot of times when United have lost control, they've lost control in those transitional moments. And it's because their midfield hasn't necessarily got the legs or the intensity at times to kind of destroy that vacated space. You need to give confidence to your attacking players looking to run in behind, play on the last lines, affect the goal. But if the ball is lost in those moments, you also need that added support behind your counter-attacking players, who can steal the ball back and make up for any spaces that could potentially turn into something more dangerous. If you want to give more confidence to counter-attacking players, you need to have those supplementive players, those supportive guys that are going to break the play, win the ball back, win those crucial tackles, and hopefully kickstart another attack for yourself. I think Ederson's pretty decent, He's got the engine. He's comfortable playing in a 2, playing in a 3. He's comfortable receiving under pressure. He protects the ball really well. That's another great thing I like about him. He knows how to use his physicality, which should kind of ensure that this is someone that's going to really take to life in the Premier League. And I think another unspoken characteristic about his game is that this guy is a big game player. In the big games for Atalanta, he steps up and he adds. So for this type of money in the market today, I think United have made a very shrewd signing. Let's see what he adds and what he introduces to their squad. Because right now, my friends, we're going to move on to the next big story. And we talk Yan Diomande. Because at the moment, Liverpool have told themselves that Yan Diomande is the successor to Mohamed Salah, as we are seeing here from the Telegraph. Now, the only thing that is slowing things down is that Leipzig want 100 million euros for his sale. There's currently an 86 million release clause on Diomande's head. And listen, Leipzig, they're in a very cushy position where they don't have to feel the pressure to sell. They'll sell at the right time they want to. Look at examples surrounding Gvardiol. Look at Sergio, who went for crazy money in the end as well too. Yan Diomande has this premium slapped on him because Leipzig don't want him to go. They want to keep him. They want to maintain his services. This is a prohibitive offer, If you're crazy enough to buy him for this price, you can. But we've placed this on his head, so you're put off, and he remains here for another season. He had his breakthrough season, his first breakthrough season in the Bundesliga this season, where he bagged around 13 goals in all competitions with 8 assists, which is a phenomenal record, in my opinion. The kid has a lot of talent. He's very direct. He's very dynamic. He, in my opinion, is like in that Desiree Doué profile of player where no matter what zone he's in, no matter what side of the field he's on, this guy is going to run at his man with his quick two-footed dribbling. But you know what? I don't want to talk about him without you guys actually seeing what this guy can do, man. But I think one thing that I really like about Diomande is his trajectory in his career. I think like 18 months ago, he was playing like developmental football in the MLS. He had a lot of trials at big clubs, most notably like Chelsea FC. But then him and his team were very smart, had a lot of offers from some big clubs, decided let's go to a club that are going to put their arm around me, give me that environment to develop, and let me find myself in the game. And that's what Leganes offered him. Their president, of course, was very caring for him. And that's why Diomande and his team felt like this is the club to go to. Not long after that, Leipzig splashed 6 million to release him from his release clause. And this season, he's taken the Bundesliga by storm. Now, I know what it's like, man, the cynical Prem fans. I get it. There's so much space in that league. It's not the same as the Premier League. And of course, that's correct. But sometimes it's what the player does with the space afforded his way that can't be ignored. And this is where I feel Diamande looks like a very excellent talent. I think for his age, at 19 years old, yeah, his final third play is beyond his years. Yeah. The amount of goals that he scored, where he's got past one, got past two, and made the difference. He's not scoring stat paddy goals like, you know, the fourth goal in a 5-0 win. This guy is opening the scorelines. This guy is coming with decisive moments. His threat all across the zones is a really big thing, because I get the impression that Liverpool want to add more fluidity with their front lines from next season. You can't replace Mohamed Salah. There's not one player in the world that can do that right now. But instead of replacing him, maybe it's about finding attacking players that complement a new way you want to use your attack. And I think with Diamande, someone this versatile, the close dribbling man, yeah, he can beat you in all type of ways, all type of angles. I think anyone who signs him has an excellent player on their hands. But is any club going to take the bait and splash 100 million this soon? Time will tell, you guys. Time will tell. Because right now, man, we're going to end things with the final story. And Tottenham have reached a verbal agreement to sign Andy Robertson. Now, this deal has been in place since January. There was belief for a long time that Robertson was set to go to Tottenham to relocate to London. That's basically confirmed now. Romano reveals that a pact is expected to be respected and a deal to be signed soon, despite Juventus trying to hijack this deal with an 11th hour offer. He's been wanted by De Zerbi for a while, so he's going to get his man. He's going to add some much-needed experience to that Spurs backline as well, and some much-needed balance to have alongside Udogie. I think for big clubs in the game right now, you need to have two excellent fullbacks on either side, because it just requires so much running and sprinting and playing box to box that is not sustainable with the levels of intensity in the Premier League more right now. For one player to do by himself, you need to have two. And in Robertson, Liverpool will get a fantastic crosser. They're going to get someone that has great Prem experience. They can be a leader for some of the players at the back as well. I think De Zerbi wants to have more leaders, guys who have won it, guys who can bring some mentality to the squad, saying, listen, I've won the seal. I've won domestic trophies. I've won the title. None of you guys can talk to me. I'm going to show you what mentality you need. If you want to be better than 17th place. So boys and girls, these are the big reports that came out today that you guys had to know. What's your thoughts on Anthony Gordon signing for Barcelona? And let me know what transfer you want to see for your team in this summer window. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and catch all your news rounds up on FTN today.